before the weekend. That way the farmers are happy and they're not in the field and it's too wet and then they all come. And no storm, then cars will come and the lights will come. So.
Well, wait, put your request in. Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We'll be adjourned.
I saw Reverend Hanson, Resurrection Lutheran here.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Let's pray. Gracious God, we give you thanks for all your gifts. We give you thanks for today. We give you thanks for life and faith. We give you thanks for the city of Mitchell, and we give you thanks for these our elected officials. And we ask that tonight you would bless them with your guidance, give them wisdom, give them discernment, and we ask that you will watch over and bless this community, and we ask you to watch over all those who serve on our behalf in the military, our law enforcement, our first responders. Keep them all safe and watch over their families. Again, we give you thanks for today, and we give you thanks for your gifts. And we bring this all to you in the name of your Son, our Savior. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Olson. Rice.
Here.
Tronis.
Here.
Dosher. Barrington. Here. Allen.
Here.
Sharps. Here. Smith.
Here. We have a quorum, so we will convene the meeting. I believe that Councilman Dosher is in out of state visiting relatives. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. Items appearing on the consent agenda may be removed by a city council member for discussion at the beginning of the formal agenda items. Anything that anyone wishes to remove from the consent agenda?
I don't want to remove anything, but I have one question on the police report on page 15. Did we really have 365 parking tickets in February?
Yes, possibly. Oh, snow. With snow removal. We do have 200 on one snow removal day.
Wow.
People getting out of practice?
Maybe. I mean,
Anything else? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to discuss or remove any item from the consent agenda? Seeing not, we will have a roll call vote, please.
Barrington.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
Sharps. Aye. Smith.
aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Rice.
Aye.
Tronis.
Aye.
And the motion is approved. Citizens input, if you need to address the mayor, members of the city council on an item that was not on the agenda, please come forward to the podium, state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time.
Good evening. Jackie Miskimmons. I'm with the Mitchell Area Development Corporation. If my Twitter feed does not deceive me, Dakota Wesleyan did win their game. We are on to the championships. So, speaking of making it into next rounds, if I can use that as a segue, hopefully you guys heard several weeks ago that Mitchell was named one of the Intelligent Community Forum Top 7 Intelligent Communities for 2015. This is the equivalent of making the next round from the Smart 21 designation that we've received the last 3 years. In 2013, 14, and 15, we were named ICF Top 21 or Smart 21 Cities. Now we've made the top 7. That in and of itself is pretty great news. But one other thing that happened since that announcement was that Forbes magazine actually picked up the story. And I'm not sure if you guys have seen this, but we were actually featured in this story in Forbes Online, talking about how the world's top 7 intelligent communities are not the ones you would expect. And I think that that can absolutely be said about Mitchell. That too, pretty great on its own. But I wanted to share with you, not just to make sure that it was said publicly that we were named a top 7 community and made Forbes magazine, complete with a picture of the Corn Palace, but also that article in and of itself was incredibly valuable for us. A lot of people, when we talk about the ICF Top 7, they'll say, well, what does that mean? What does that do for Mitchell? And of course, getting our story out there, putting ourselves on a global platform to tell our story is valuable. But now we've had a way to measure it. I did check in with some contacts of mine who work still in marketing and ad agencies, and they ran the ad equivalency measure for that Forbes story. And just the Forbes mention itself was worth $28,000 worth of ad value for the city of Mitchell. And I thought that that was pretty spectacular. So I wanted to just share that with you guys tonight and congratulate the community one more time. Way to go.
Thank you, Jackie.
I heard from acquaintances and relatives literally across the country who read it in Forbes and wrote to congratulate us. And so you're right, it was very far-reaching and made a big impression on the people that read. So that is great.
On Thursday at 7 o'clock, we're going to have a public meeting about Spruce Street. That project is going to get started on the first of the month, starting with traffic control right away. So it'll be a big change. It'll be inconvenience for those people, but it'll be a great project. We're going to have ourselves here. DOT will be here, and we've already sent out notices to all the property owners. So all of you are invited to come and kind of listen to see how the project is going to go. We're going to talk about schedule, timeline, concerns, traffic control, and things like that.
Terry, is this a typical Department of Transportation meeting where they talk and people listen and they have to like it? Or do citizens have any opportunity to change a decision? My experience has been the answer is no, but maybe things have changed.
This is actually a meeting that the city of Mitchell is ramrodding with, and we've asked the Department of Transportation to come and kind of help partake in some of the questions that might be asked during this time. We've kind of gone through the plans with all the property owners, so they kind of have a first-time understanding. When I went and got right-of-way negotiations with DOT, we kind of went through the plans, the process, things like that. So I think we're ahead of that game, but we're gonna it'll be a good time to answer questions with the people.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I guess what I'm thinking of is, we've had those issues with drainage on South Wisconsin there, and the only way to get out of there basically is Spruce Street. And so are those people going to end up, in effect, being trapped when that side of the street is blocked off for construction? I know you're going to keep one lane open, but
I think there will be times when you're going to do some crossings, and they're just going to have to redirect people in order to get them out. I mean, that was our goal, our reasoning for doing this thing. There are going to be sometimes the first phase of the project is we're going to have to shut down Raleigh and Spruce. That total shutdown. So that is going to be, I think, one of the hugest problems of this whole thing. So if you're living south of Spruce and Raleigh, you're going to have a big detour in order to get down there. There's no way to get people through the intersection because we got to cross the intersection. There's no way to keep one lane open at one time. We're going to focus on that part of that project first because we want to get that open before Memorial Day weekend. Focus on that, get all the underground put in, get all the base work done, get the road open and ready to where we don't have to come in and dig it up again. We talked about just cutting across there with utilities and then just throwing some gravel back in there, but everyone knows that intersection is highly used, and we throw back gravel in there. All it is going to be a rutting issue that we're going to be dealing with. So we want to get in and out and not have to come back into it again. So we're going to tear it out and get it back in operation to where we don't have to touch it again.
and well, and that's, I was going to get it to, when you say in and out, I understand Mother Nature has an impact on in and out, but is in and out a day, a week,
In and
a
out,
month, a
we're
year?
probably 3-4 weeks.
I've had people talk to me about the West End Bridge that's under construction. And I think that the thing that is the most frustrating to people when we're doing these projects is when they see long periods of time when nothing seems to be getting accomplished, no work seems to be getting done. Is there any way that we can just make sure that whoever our contractor is like focused? And because this is this is a huge inconvenience for those businesses and residents that live out in that area.
We could talk to the DOT about it. The DOT is, overseeing this project. There might be some of the issues that they're waiting for another contractor to pour some of their concrete abutments. They're waiting for weather, some different things, but we will let the DOT know of the concern that was brought up tonight, and I can let you know what they come up with.
Anyone else have anything? Now we will move on with the update from the city administrator.
I don't have a whole lot to update with tonight. The one thing I did want to make a point to go over with the council is just to let you know that we did make a change to our website. And the way our website is, it's not very easy to make it real pretty looking. It's pretty basic. But one of the complaints that we continued to get was that it's difficult to find minutes, agendas for the various boards that we have here at the city, as well as finding some of the documents. And so when you go to the city's website, I was going to pull this up, but I had trouble getting it to go here. So when you go to the city's website, you can find it one of two ways. On the right-hand side of the page, under agendas, minutes, and reports, you can click on the link there, or you can go under government and then agendas, minutes, and reports. That will bring you to a page where you can either click on annual report, city council. So far, I've got planning and zoning and park and recreation board. The rest of the boards will be on at the end of by the end of this week. But when you click on the city council link there, what you will see is that page with all the 2015 meetings. You'll have the agenda, the minutes, the packet, as well as the direct video link to that meeting, so that you don't have to try to navigate through all the YouTube ones. It'll bring you right to where you need to see. If you have anyone that's having trouble finding information, just direct them to that site on the page, and they should be able to find it a little more easily. Hopefully next year, if we go through with a website upgrade, it'll be much more usable format, but this is something to get us by until we get to that point.
Sorry.
No, I was just saying, that's really all I have to update.
No, I love that we now have the complete packet available to the public. I think that that's great. I think that they deserve to be able to have the full packet, and I commend us for that. And whoever us is, I commend you, Stephanie, and whoever it is that put it on there.
Well,
I think it's good. I think it's good that the whole packet is on.
And to be honest, the full packet was on there before, but the thing is because it was in Laserfish, you really kind of had to know where you're looking to find the information. I couldn't find it when I was trying to research about the city of Mitchell before I moved here. So I said, we need something that's just point and click easy, that someone who doesn't know how to navigate through the site can find it easy. So that's where we're at. I just wanted to make sure I made a point of it so that if any of you get a question about how do you find a video or something like that, you know that you can direct them right to that site now. So,
I don't need to learn Laserfish?
no. Bonus.
Stephanie, when are we going to do the paperless?
The what?
What's your schedule for doing the paperless and everybody on?
Yep. Next, let me do one more thing and then I'll go to that one next. The other thing I just wanted to point out is the annual reports. The city's financial annual report is on there, as well as the departmental annual report. So those have been updated. If anybody in the public needs to find those, that's where they can find those. As far as the city network, we are all paperless on the department head level side of things. We have not done the council yet. The thought, or the last, comment that I received is that we want to wait for those who are up for election. But if those of you who are not up for election are ready to proceed, we do have the budget set now for that stipend for you to purchase a tablet that will be yours to use in your responsibility to maintain. And I will sit down one-on-one with whoever would like to figure out, what your needs are and what you, give you recommendations of what you should have for space available and that kind of thing, so that you can get into your, make sure that you have the space needed to download packets. We do have the ability now to set up all the council with a city email address that can be linked to your tablet, so you can use that for city correspondence. We also, I have gotten this question in the past about when we're transitioning the rest of the departments that we're using non-city email addresses. We have purchased that now, and we have transitioned some of them over. Not everybody is over yet, but we've got about halfway through I think the last time I talked to Andrew, we have like golf and a library left to do, but everybody else is on now a city email account that's being archived and done appropriately. We did actually just today receive our switches that I said we were kind of waiting on. They came in this afternoon, so we can finish with setting up our fiber loop so that they can start being activated. So we're about midway, I would say, in the transition, and it's going well. We do have our firewall and our intrusion detection functioning now, which is great. A little peace of mind for me. As you know, one of the things that we were replacing was the server in the police department. That was one of the items on the list, and we actually have had significant problems in the last 2 weeks with that, so you would have been replacing that either way. Andrew's been kind of getting it to limp along for the last 2 weeks, but so we're still in progress and it's going good. If any of you are ready, we can certainly transition that. Just come in and we'll process the allowance paperwork, any of you that aren't up for election, and we'll make sure that you have what you need. I can sit down with, like I did with Susan, to make sure you're comfortable with the way that the packet looks and everything else. But I don't have anything else to report. I appreciate the 2 days of vacation last week.
Only other comment I have on your update, I believe that Stephanie had sent an email out to the council asking for any feedback on the department reports that are published in your packets, and if there's something that you think that you probably can live without, we probably will just remove it in the future. We could probably get more information on the water department if you like, but if you don't think it's necessary, we can probably remove it. And any other of the portions of that reports. So if you would like, we can just take it upon ourselves, Stephanie and myself maybe, to eliminate it unless we hear something from you.
Actually, and I haven't had time to respond because I was out of town today, but I guess I don't mind the reports, but could they just be links and not have to be, so if the department heads, for their purpose, if it's meaningful and they want to keep doing that, that's fine, but can they turn it into a link that's just a link on the information that comes to us?
We could do that once everyone's paperless.
Okay.
Yeah, I responded to Stephanie, and you know, while these are interesting and maybe should be on the website, I really think it's an executive function of the mayor. I mean, I'm not really sure it's our business as the legislative council. This is an executive function and part of their, you know, performance and evaluation and how the department's going. So as far as I'm concerned, they could be discontinued in the packet anyway. I mean, they should be publicly available somehow, but I don't need them myself.
All right, we'll take appropriate action. Next, committee report.
I was just going to ask Stephanie, just kind of give just a little bit of an update on the Corn Palace. I had some people kind of ask me, are we still kind of on task? And you think, you know, we're not going to pinpoint to the exact day, but are we progressing like we were hoping to?
We're still within the timeline that Dave originally had reviewed with the council. I guess the question that I've been asked the most frequently is when the domes are going to be in place or going up. And after visiting with Dave today, it sounds like mid-April is kind of a timeline that would be a target that everybody could watch for. So, but other than that, there hasn't been any. We're still on target for the end of April. I hope I'm saying that right.
I think you just stepped out.
Terry, is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
So nothing has pushed us back on that yet. They're working on the floor today. I think you're all aware of that. So the lobby is completely off limits for any kind of traffic at all. The sign now with the approval today will get processed and started on that. I think everything's kind of clicking along at the end. They did have, Terry did a really good job of printing out the mock-up of the timelines that are going to go in the display here so that they could have the committee come over and review and make suggestions for changes on those timeline panels. It was nice to see those up in there to kind of get a visual of what it's going to look like. Kind of helped bring to light maybe some other considerations that needed to be made for the framing around it. But everything's on target right now.
We're going to start painting next week.
And this is a big weekend with the Show Choir Classic. They'll have a lot of people there, so it'll be our kind of a, I don't know, baptism by fire, so.
Yeah. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, next, traffic department report.
Traffic Commission met tonight at 7:25 PM with one item on the agenda. It was a request from the James Valley Cycle Club on behalf of the March of Dimes Poker Run for a parade permit from South Main Street at the depot going north on north to Ullman Street or North Highway 37 bypass intersection continuing straight out of town to the north on North Highway 37 at 12 noon on Saturday, May 2nd, 2015. This item was approved, and that was all we had.
Can I ask an unrelated question? Yes. You know, the fatality, the
Yes.
chase.
Yes,
I understand from the paper that it was a county sheriff.
that's correct.
I've had some people ask me a couple of questions, and one of the questions was, why was the county sheriff chasing him in the city limits? And then does the police department have a policy? I know in other areas of the country, they have a policy where if it gets too hairy, they just quit and they catch them, you know, some other time. So those were the two questions that were asked to me over the weekend before they knew. They thought it was a kid, you know.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, the deputy observed the traffic infraction and took action. He was one who was there, and he just took action. That's why it happened.
well, and I told them, since Mitchell is in Davison County, he had jurisdiction.
Oh, yes,
That
they
being-
can, they take action through the whole year, yeah, all the time. And as far as policy goes, I think most departments have different levels of pursuits, and they weigh out what the infraction was as to at what point they'll call them off. I think, I've read the report today, this chase was like 65 seconds long. But it had to happen really fast, and it's an unfortunate event. But there is policy of when to call them off and when you pursue them. But it all depends on what type of infractions were involved and what the situation was, how heavy the traffic is, where specifically they're driving, if it's residential or open road, that sort of thing. Okay.
Entertain a motion for the city council to recess and sit as the Board of Adjustment.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Entertain a motion to approve the traffic report.
So moved.
Motion second to approve the traffic report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we will entertain a motion for the city council to recess and sit as the Board of Adjustment. Motion second to sit as the Board of Adjustment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public hearing and action on the application of Allison and Jason Hone for a side yard on a corner variance of 4 feet versus 20 feet as required for an addition to their residence located at 1500 East Ash Avenue, legally described as Lot 7, Block 4, Sunnybrook Addition, City of Mitchell.
Mayor and council, if I could direct your attention to the planning commission minutes in your packet, you would see that the planning commission did hold a hearing on this request. And you would see that there was no neighborhood objections, but however, the planning commission did recommend denial. This before you. The applicant is here. Also, you should have a copy of the planning commission packet that shows the applicant's request. So I'll entertain any questions, or if, again, the applicant is here, if you've got specific questions of them.
I've got a couple questions for the applicant.
Oh, okay.
I'll answer them the best I can.
Okay. Was curious, I see that of the list that you had of all the neighbors, and none of them came back to say that they disapproved it. Did you get a chance to go out and visit with any of the neighbors, or?
We have not. I know, I was told that he had sent out the, by mail, he had sent out, forms, whether, yes, to approve or deny or whatever, so I did not actually visit with any of them. Except for, well, across the street is our rental. We own the rental across the street, so, we did talk to one neighbor, and they were totally okay with it, but as far as visiting with the whole neighborhood, no, we did not.
Or the people that are immediate, that was next to where your residence is, but Because that was just, it kind of struck me funny that, that there wasn't any comment that was made back, which, you know, you give people opportunity to come to both the planning commission and or the city council, and I don't know, maybe there's some people out there tonight that want to comment on it, but I was just kind of, or not concerned, I was just kind of curious more than anything if you've had a chance to visit to see what their thoughts were.
Just the one, yeah.
Because with a few of the names on the list, it surprised me that there wasn't some comment made, you know, not necessarily negative or positive, but there's a few in here that are pretty boisterous is what I'm trying to get at with the community as making a comment. It's funny they didn't send something back. So unless they were, you know, on board with it, you know, most times people aren't going to put a negative comment. Typically they're on board for it, and it's something that's bettering their area. So.
Well, I do believe this would make a good addition for the neighborhood. And usually 99% of the time I stay with the recommendations by the planning commission, but this time I will not. I will reverse their decision, but it's.
Well, that's a little bit what I was getting to, is this is the process, I believe, and I believe it works well. We've got a planning commission, and we've got a zoning code, and when there's deviations, there could be variances that we're talking about here. It gives people an opportunity to talk about them and to see if their neighbors are comfortable or not comfortable. And I think the process works very well. I was just kind of set back by the fact that if there was nobody there in opposition of it, does that in itself say with silence that they're basically for it? Because normally if you're against it, you're going to say something, especially if you have an opportunity to send a letter back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't even got to come face to face. You can just write it on paper.
Neil, why did the planning commission reject it?
I'm sorry.
Basically, I think for majority of them, what they felt is they didn't meet the criteria for a hardship. That was their, you know, they viewed it as, I'm trying to paraphrase, and if I'm misspeaking, please correct me because she was there, is their, you know, they just didn't feel that it met the criteria of an undue hardship or unnecessary hardship, which is the statutory scheme. And I think that was kind of what their feelings are. I do also want to reiterate, if you are going to vote in favor, it does require 6 of you to vote, so because that's what the state statute requires. So I just want to make sure that you are aware of that before you proceed.
You know, in their minutes here, it says Myers also noted approval of the variance may set precedents, and I guess, you know, to some point, yes, that's the reason why they're called variances, because each issue is handled separately from the one before that. You take a look at it, you bring it out, you separate it, and you wonder if it's good or not for that area or the community or whatever. I mean, you know, I agree with you too, Jeff and Danny, is you know, I look at when people write back or they're here verbally speaking on behalf of it, against it or something like that, when there's nobody here to you know, oppose it, it's just tougher not for us to get along and improve that neighborhood. I mean, it sounds like the board, you know, the people are on board with it, so.
I've got a question. If this doesn't get approved, do you have a different design in mind or anything else?
We're just kind of taking it one step at a time. This is what we have, this floor plan right now. This is what we're shooting for. If it doesn't, then we'll have to come up with the plan B, but as of right now, we do not have another plan.
Okay, another question, and you mentioned a rental across the street. Is that across Taylor?
Correct. So it's at 1420 East Ash. It faces Ash, but it's
Faces
across
Ash,
the street from Taylor.
Across the street from your house on Taylor.
So it's on the corner of Taylor and Ash,
Yep.
yes.
Neil, can you clarify hardship for me? Because we've seen some variances that are approved when it's 0 feet.
Well, I guess that's the statutory, what it says in the heart, you know, again, and that's why that's the language that's out of the state statute, and so that's just why it's there, and that's why you make a judgment call on what you think is that's the hardship, you know. In other words, is it a physical characteristic? Is it you know, there's lots of different rationales why you think may be a hardship, you know. Was it something that's maybe beyond somebody's control? You know, for example, if we have you know, variances maybe because there's a physical characteristic on the property that you can't meet, for maybe it's a utility easement or it's on a cliff or something of that nature, you know. again, that's your judgment call.
Yeah, the statute requires a two-thirds majority. And I've never seen a board that hasn't either been 5 in the case of the county commission or 8 in the case of the city council. So it's always an 80% majority, notwithstanding the statute says two-thirds majority. Kind of a little bit of an anomaly for whatever that's worth.
So the design that I'm seeing on page 5 shows that there's sidewalk. Is that current sidewalk that is in?
There's current sidewalk on Ash, not yet on Taylor. There is no sidewalk on Taylor right now.
And there isn't in our future plan, is there, Terry?
Sometime in the next 30 years.
To narrow it down, right?
To narrow it down.
Actually, if you do approve this as part of the ordinance, they are supposed to do it as part of their infrastructure.
Yeah.
And that was my major question, is to make for sure that there is room for a sidewalk.
Well, they just have
7 foot, 5 foot here.
Yeah, they have 7 foot and a 5 foot sidewalk.
Yeah.
But that would be from the property line and
Right.
yeah, there'd still be room for the sidewalk.
Well, it's in their diagram here.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7, 5, and 4.
So,
And then that 4'5" or whatever it is, that would be from the overhang, the 2-foot overhang.
So actually 6 foot from the structure.
Correct.
okay. And so, Taylor Street runs north and south.
Correct.
And so do you own the property straight east of you then? Right across the street, or?
That'd be
is
the
it
west.
West,
To the west?
not to the east,
To
to
the
the
west.
west.
Oh, okay.
You got a shed there, I believe, a steel building. Then you got a piece of property, a little home to the south of there. Correct, a rental, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Sits on the corner of Taylor and Ash.
Correct.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to be the same as Danny, seeing no opposition from the immediate residents. I'm going to go against the planning recommendation, and typically, like Danny said, 99.5%, it seems like we're always on board with them, but in this instance, I'm not going to be on the same side with them, so I'm going to make a motion, and to make sure I'm doing it right, I'm making a motion to deny the request from the planning commission. Is that how I want to do it?
No.
No, just approve this
Approve.
application.
Okay.
Approve the application.
Motion to approve the application then by the home residents.
Is there a second? We have a motion and a second to approve the request for a variance. Have a roll call vote, please.
Well, I would just like to explain why I'm going to vote no. I mean, ill will, but I don't want to be the planning commission. And I think that we set up zoning for a reason and setbacks for a reason. We asked the planning commission to consider that. I don't know that you can take no comment from the neighbors to be a positive. It might just be that your neighbors want to get along with you, or it might just be that they figure it's your business with the property being there. On the other hand, we have to consider what the next request is and what the next people who move into your neighborhood are going to have. So I guess I'm not opposed to you adding on to your home, but I just think I don't want to be dealing with every single request that the planning commission has twice, so I'll be voting no.
Any other discussion? Not, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Olson,
No.
Rice,
Aye.
Tronis,
Aye.
Barrington,
Aye.
Allen,
Aye.
Sharp,
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
And the motion is
6
carried,
yes.
6-1. Motion carried. Entertain a motion for the Board of Adjustment to adjourn and the City Council to reconvene in regular session.
So moved. Second.
Motion second to reconvene in regular session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Action and resolution on Resolution 3252, a plat of Lot 11, Block 7 of the Woods First Edition, a subdivision of east 1/2 of the southwest 1/4 of Section 23, Township 103 North, range 60 west of the 5th PM, City of Mitchell.
Again, if I direct your attention to the planning commission minutes in your package, you would see that they did recommend approval of this plat. This again is out in the woods area, and they're starting to see some activity taking place out in that area.
Move to approve resolution 3252.
Second.
Motion second to approve Resolution 3252. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Action to approve, set a date for April 6, 2015 for the second reading, hearing, and adoption of proposed ordinance 2512, an ordinance to amend Title 10 zoning regulation, City of Mitchell, municipal code requested by the Planning Commission.
Second.
Motion and second to set the date of April 6, 2015 for the second reading and hearing. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Action to approve bids. First, the Fire Division Tanker City Project 2015-21.
Paul Morris, Mitchell Fire Department. I believe this is on page 128 in your packet. PDF, it's 198. We received two bids on this tender truck. One from Midwest Fire out of Laverne, Minnesota. Their bid price is $195,833. The other bid came from Rosenbauer, America, and their bid was $199,028. We would recommend the lower bid with Midwest Fire.
Paul?
Yes.
Go ahead. We're probably on the same wavelength there, but how does this fit in with the deal with the townships and the equipment that we got from them? And
Yep, this is actually separate from the Mitchell Rural Fire Association. When we took over and started providing fire service for Mitchell Township 5 years ago, our goal was to, in 5 years, buy a tender truck. Within that first year, I think our first 2 years we bought a grass rig. So this is part of that 5-year plan. We've been setting that money aside every year for 5 years.
And what did we have budgeted?
$200,000.
And one of the comment of bidder did not use city forms and proper bid submitted on both of them. Did we change the form, or they didn't get the right form, or is it a big deal or not a big deal, or?
There was some
I mean, I want us to be easy to do business with, that if we're putting bids out, that we get the information back on the forms or in the format that we want.
There was some typos in there where it should have said fire truck, it said ambulance. And I think it was a cut and paste from the last time we did a bid for an ambulance service.
Okay.
And there was also some stuff in there about, they got confused about the language that indicated they needed to clean up this rubble at the site. And I think our boilerplate is kind of a generic boilerplate that goes out with all bids. So, but we were assured by both bidders that they would fill out whatever paperwork was necessary.
Yeah, we have the right, I don't know where the right line is, but we can leave variances or waive irregularities in our favor. When it's, there is a limitation that I can't define that right line as we sit here, but I think that's not.
So Paul, as we sit here today, we're on track with our 5-year plan.
Yes, yep.
And does this in any way replace an existing truck that we have?
Well, with the Metro Rural Fire Association, as part of that new contract, we did get rid of engine 4. So where this would have been an additional unit, this is now basically a replacement unit for engine 4, which, given the way we fight fires now in the countryside, makes way more sense. So it's working out well. Oh, yeah. Yep, yep.
when you say get rid of engine 4, did you take it to a farm somewhere, or what did you do?
Metro Rural Fire Association basically took it out of the station. It was part of the contract. They were free to do whatever they wanted with it. I believe they sold it to an individual, private individual. One thing I would add on this, Midwest Fire did, as part of their stipulation for this contract, said that a deposit in the amount of $10,000 would be paid upon acceptance of this proposal. I called them and told them the city does not do business this way, and they said, nope, that's fine. We just throw that in there all the time, and we always work around that if we have to. So if you decide you are going to accept the bid from Midwest, I would say accept the bid from Midwest for that price minus the $10,000 deposit.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it. Didn't hurt anything. Nothing to do.
And you expect delivery when?
Within 200 days. Which is
that long?
With the, oh yeah, yeah. The biggest part is waiting for the chassis to arrive. Freightliner is the chassis of choice here, and they're quite backlogged, it's my understanding.
So what acre capability do we have right now?
Right now, the tanker we have is a 1980, I want to say 87 model. I have to confirm that for you. It's a 1,500 gallon, we call them tenders, and so it carries 1,500 gallons of water. It's got side dumps, or dump chute on the back so that we can dump into porta tanks. We've got 2 porta tanks on the side of it. This will increase our capacity up to 2,000 gallons. Also, it's going to have a swivel dump chute on the back, so we'll have a little bit more versatility there, and it'll also have a dump tank attached to the side of it. So the thing is, when we get out into the country, right now our capabilities to deliver water to a dump tank, if we've got a house fire, 1,500 gallons at a time. Yep, and we usually end up calling mutual aid from other fire departments around us to help, but the more tankers you can get, the better, and given the way we fight fires, and as fast as fires go anymore, it's as much water as quickly as possible is a lot better, so this is going to be a good move for us.
I'll move to accept the bid from Midwest Fire Equipment and Repair Company of Laverne, Minnesota.
Minus the 10.
Well, we're accepting the bid
Okay.
amount.
How they pay for it.
And how we pay for it is up to the finance office.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to accept the bid from Midwest Fire Equipment and Repair for $195,833. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And the next item is the Cadwell Park Sunshade City Project 2015-23.
Brought my toy. We received 2 bids for the sunshade portion of the Cadwell Improvement Project. One from Sunshades Incorporated, or Shaded Systems Incorporated, and from Midwest Playscapes. The low bid came in at $44,666 from Shade System, basically $25,000 less than Midwest Playscapes. Which really kind of surprised us, because the Shade System company has the reputation of being one of the best in this market, and I have personal experience with their product when I was down in Nebraska, so I think we got a really good price. I asked Chuck to look at this again today and said, go over it again to make sure that we're not missing something. So he didn't call me back saying he did.
Differences.
Yeah, that's significant.
Have you done business with them, you said?
Yes, I did.
And that's delivered too, right?
Yep.
Inverness, Florida.
Yes.
Yeah.
And obviously, we don't have the whole project bidded out yet, but it's roughly $460 to $70 is what we had budgeted for just the sunshades. So that we're already for sure 6,000 lower, if not more. Does that, on the east side of Thomas, does that cover all the shades that we need, or are we just doing half of it?
That covers what we need on the East Complex.
Yeah, I
Yes.
just want to make sure it covers all of them.
Yes.
Not leaving a couple out that are down between the trees or something like that. With that kind of price that we're getting, do we need to try to purchase more with what they're giving us for the rate?
I was going to say, right now, being this is the first piece of the puzzle in this project, concrete prices have likely gone up, and we've got to do that through the bid process because it's part of the overall project. Our concrete price that we got last year may be higher than it was the original quote. So at this point, it'll supply our needs and give us hopefully a little flexibility depending on what our concrete numbers come in at.
Dusty, did you say Chuck did go through item by item and make sure that it's...
Yes.
Installation in time for softball starting?
That is our intention.
In May?
So there again, this is one of those that, were we to be able to operate like private business, we'd have had the concrete contractor out there last week. Because we have to wait for bid process and everything else, it'll probably be the first part of April. Now, if we get continued dry weather, we should be on target. If not, all bets are off. But our intention is to, by the time regular softball season starts, we would like to have that facility playable.
Well, from my years of being out there, there's no doubt about it. There's been plenty of comments made already about how we need the sunshades really bad. So this is going to be a great improvement to our complex out there. And those that play it and those that come just to watch are gonna really appreciate this addition, so I'm glad we got good bids, and I'm glad we're moving forward.
Any other questions?
Would entertain a
I'll
motion?
move approval of the bid to Cadwell Park East Complex Shade Structures to Shade Systems, Inc. of Ocala, Florida.
We have a motion and a second to approve the bid to Shade Systems, Inc. for $44,666.70. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Say what?
And it's 8:15, maybe a new record for us. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Carried.